Steve met Zara on a rainy Monday morning in year 1 at their small primary school. He was the quiet boy who always sat at the back, drawing cars in his notebook. Zara was the new girl with bright eyes and neat braids, who read out loud with confidence when the teacher asked questions. The first time they spoke was over a missing pencil. Steve had dropped his under the desk, and Zara picked it up before anyone else noticed. "You should hold your things properly," she whispered with a small smile. From that day, they began sharing pencils, lunch snacks, and secrets only children think are serious, like who stole biscuits from the staff room and who cried during assembly. Through primary school, they grew inseparable. They studied together under the big oak tree during break time. When Steve struggled with spelling, Zara patiently helped him sound out the words. When Zara found maths difficult, Steve explained it slowly until she understood. Teachers would joke that if you saw one, the other was never far behind. Secondary school tested their friendship. New classmates, new pressures, and teenage emotions made everything more complicated. Steve became taller and more confident, joining the football team. Zara discovered her love for science and started winning academic awards. Some classmates teased them, saying they were married already. They would laugh it off. But slowly their friendship began to change into something deeper. There were arguments too. In year 10, Steve got jealous when Zara started working on a project with another boy. He didn't understand his own feelings, and she didn't like being controlled. They stopped talking for weeks. It was the longest they had ever gone without speaking. But during exam season, Steve found her crying behind the science block, overwhelmed with pressure. Without thinking, he sat beside her and handed her a bottle of water. No words were needed. They both realized their bond was stronger than pride. By the time they entered university, they were no longer just childhood friends. They were best friends who loved each other deeply. They attended the same university, though in different departments. Steve studied business, dreaming of building his own company one day. Zara studied medicine, determined to become a doctor. University life was busy and demanding, but they still found time for late-night study sessions, cheap campus dinners, and long walks discussing their dreams. In their final year, Steve began saving money from a small online business he started. He wanted to do something meaningful. On graduation day, after they both received their certificates, Steve asked Zara to walk with him to the quiet garden behind the university hall. His hands were shaking. He remembered the little girl who picked up his pencil years ago. He remembered every laugh, every argument, every moment they had grown together. He knelt down on one knee. "Zara," he said, his voice unsteady but determined. "We started this journey together. Primary school, secondary school, university. I don't want to continue life without you beside me. Will you marry me?" Tears filled Zara's eyes before she could even answer. "Yes," she whispered, then louder, "Yes." They were happy until Steve told his parents. His parents had always imagined a different future for him. They wanted him to marry into a wealthy, influential family. They believed Zara was too ordinary, not from the social circle they desired. They questioned her background, her family, her status. They told Steve he was making a mistake. "You can do better," his father said firmly. "This is not the girl for you," his mother insisted. Steve felt torn. He respected his parents deeply. They had worked hard to give him good education and opportunities, but he also knew his heart. Zara had been with him before success, before ambition, before status. She knew him completely, the good and the flawed, and still chose him. The pressure increased. His parents threatened to withdraw financial support for his business. They stopped speaking to him properly. Family friends whispered that he was being foolish. Zara noticed the weight on his shoulders and even suggested stepping back. "I don't want to come between you and your family," she told him softly. But Steve shook his head. "You are not coming between us. I am choosing my life." After months of tension, arguments, and sleepless nights, Steve made his decision. He married Zara in a simple but beautiful ceremony surrounded by friends who had watched their love grow from childhood. It wasn't the grand wedding his parents had imagined, and they did not attend. The early years of marriage were not easy. Without his parents' support, Steve had to work twice as hard to grow his business. Zara worked long hospital shifts as a junior doctor. They faced financial struggles and emotional stress, but they faced them together. just like they had faced spelling tests and science exams years ago. Slowly, things began to change. Steve's business started gaining recognition. Zara earned respect in her medical field. Their hard work paid off, not because of wealth or status, but because of perseverance and unity. When their first child was born, Steve's parents finally came to visit. Seeing their son holding his baby with tears of joy softened something inside them. They saw that this was not a childish decision. It was a mature choice rooted in years of loyalty and love. Zara welcomed them with kindness, without bitterness or resentment. Over time, the walls broke down. Conversations became warmer. Visits became frequent. The family healed. Years later, when Steve and Zara would tell their children how they met, they would always start with the same story: a rainy Monday morning, a dropped pencil, and a girl who smiled. Their love was never about approval, wealth, or status. It was about growing up together, choosing each other every single day, and having the courage to stand by that choice even when it was difficult. And that made all the difference. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, and share if you liked the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.